When I saw Mr. Wilson just ahead stocking his sidewalk fruits stand with yellow-green mangoes, I took a quick glance at the clock tower farther down the
avenue.
It's 3:20, Mr. Wilson, I cheerfully reported before he could ask me for the time, as he did every afternoon. Mr. Wilson reached up a leathery brown head and tipped his fedora to me. "Thank you, Katharina," he said. In the English-speaking part of the modern Easels that meant partner or pal. I continued limping down the sidewalk until I heard something new. Beyond the rattle of manhole covers, the rumble of the subway, and the melodic lift of islanders' chatter. There was a
Rhythmic
something that drew me down the street. I winced and picked up my pace, eager to find out where the sound was coming from. The drumming on the corner of Marley and Hines was the quiet new kid in my class. I didn't know he was a musician. I stood there watching his fast-moving hands, and I instantly forgot that I had somewhere else to be. Chapter 2.
Surge.
I was going to be late. I had to get to the corner of Marley and Hines and set up before the after-school crowd caught up with me. I liked it better when people heard my drumming from blocks away. It drew them in. Plus, I'd always
Preferred
strangers' ear to their eyes. Ears were way less judgy. Are you studying okay, Serge? When my teacher, Miss Rodriguez acted the dismissal bell. She meant well, but I wish people would stop reminding me that I was the new kid in school. Drumming helped me forget when I drummed. I didn't think about how much I missed my home. on the mother easels, or about how much I miss Granny. Miss Rodriguez, over concerned tongue made me think about how much I wanted to go back. My parents didn't know that I was saving for a boat to get to the mother easels. If I kept making tips from drowning, I would eventually have enough. Understand the urge. I hadn't meant to, but I'd missed everything my teacher had said. I nodded wordlessly, so shifting my backpack to my opposite shoulder. Okay, then, Miss Rodriguez said something doubtful. Go enjoy your afternoon. I headed out the classroom door. I grabbed the black clothes bag holding my slingshot, slid to my locker shot, and joined the crowd of students spilling into the street. The skyscrapers in the distance serve as the perfect markers when I need to navigate this new city. As long as I walked toward that distant skyline, I knew I was headed west. A rumbling sound beneath the sidewalk startled me. It was only when I saw crowds of people emerging from underground that I remembered there was a subway below the street. There was so much to get used to on the mainland. Here there were iron lampposts instead of palm trees, and rows of attached sandstone homes painted boring shades of brown instead of the detached pastel-colored homes that lined the road I'd lived on with my grandmother. The air flowing from the sidewalk, Grace smiled like a musty dampness instead of the salty
Turquoise.
turquoise.
Raucous.
Raucous.
Laughter.
Laughter and chatter broke out all around me. Even so many of the kids at my new school were from Mother Isol's family. Most of them had been born here in Tripeville. They spoke a snappier English than I was used to, as if they were chomping on taut meat. The worst part was, it felt like they were all in on the same jokes. and I just didn't get them. I breezed by a church parking lot where girls were jumping double dutch. Squee! One of them shouted, just as the gray cat with a red collar crossed my path. Mimi, you have to stop following me like this. I scolded her with a smile. How did you even get out? Mimi had been a going-away gift from Granny, who'd raised me when my parents went to live on the mainland years ago. When my parents had finally sent for me, Granny could tell that I was sad to leave her. Take Mimi with you, for comfort and for company, Granny had said. It had seemed super important to her, so I had. Once I'd moved here, Mimi had tried to follow me out the door every single time I left. If she couldn't get out, she would sit in her window's perch on the lookout until I got back home. She knew more about my comings and goings than my parents did. A few minutes later, I stood at the corner of Marley and Hines. Perfect. I started setting up on the front stoop of a vacant row house. Mimi had padded away down the street, but the moment I pulled out my drum, I didn't feel alone. The familiarity of the hand-carved wooden shell and its braided rope instantly set me at ease. Nice-looking drum, said the man who reminded me of one of my uncles. We carried groceries from the nearby fruit stand. That looks like an island-made special, said another passerby, a woman who stopped and stood next to the man. It is, I said. I was proud of my drum's origins. Every true drummer knew that the trees from the mother easel had a high grade of wood that created drums with a distinct and powerful sound. But you can't be more than 10 years old, said the man. And laugh, sir, I told him. Both he and the woman laughed, and I wondered if I'd said something funny. What does a boy your age know about the power of drumming an island taboo? I didn't know how to answer that question. Curious, the man and the woman waited and watched, judgy eyes. The youth of today so eager, the man chuckled, shaking his head. Seated on the stoop, I placed the drum between my knees and pulled out my drumstick. The doctors talked to each other, swapping stories about great drummers they know. No one paid much attention to me. It was the perfect time, with a drumstick in my right hand and my left hand empty. I took a deep breath and began. The
Rhythm.
rhythm started off steady and dependable, but then I sped up the beat and mixed in unpredictable patterns. Stick, stick, slap, stick, slap. The doctors turned toward me, their lips no longer flapping with chatter. I broke out more intricate beats, hitting the drum skin with the heel of my hand for deep sounds, and the tips of my fingers to
Punctuate.
that rhythm with a higher pitch. A crowd of kids gathered around, and most of them looked surprised to see me drawing this much attention. A few dollar bills landed in my tip jar. The man with the groceries gave me a note of approval. The woman closed her eyes, letting her ears take over. I was getting more tips than usual. A few more days like this, and I would have enough for my ticket back to the mother Isles. I was excited to spot a girl from my class, Josie Lammer, in the crowd. Josie was the granddaughter of the famous Louis Lammer, Mother Isles singer of English and French songs. The woman was a legend. Josie had musical greatness in her blood, so the fact that she was bobbing her head to my drumming was a huge compliment. Josie moved to the rhythm, but only from the waist up. She shook her shoulder, wove her long arms, and threw back her head all while putting her weight on just one leg. "She can't even dance," shouted a girl in the crowd. I recognized the heckler from school. April always poked fun at my accent. Her brother Aggie was at her side, laughing, and she obviously doesn't know it. Aggie snarked. Josie looked at the mean siblings. When her eyes met theirs, she flashed them a taunting smile and danced with her whole body, head to toe. She stumbled and winced, but her feet kept matching my drum beats. I focused on her feet and her movements. It felt like Josie was speaking to my drum, communicating with her steps, her swaying arms, and her bobbing head. My drumming got more intense. I delivered an elbow beat on the drum skin to go with the speed drumstick, and bar-handed beats combos, and Josie kept up. It no longer looked like she was wincing in pain. Josie's joy made my hand feel lighter. They moved over the drum quickly, helping me craft tricky beat combos I'd never attempted before. The spectators gave Josie room to dance. As much as my hands communicated with the drum, the beats I pounded out communicated with Josie too. She was drawn to my music, and she wasn't the only one. I couldn't believe that this was happening. The new kid in town, was pulling in a crowd. Everyone reacted to my drumming in different ways. Some nodded their heads, and a few more people threw sparse change and dollar bills into my tip jar. But one person in particular seemed mesmerized. A tall, jangly older man in dress pants and a t-shirt that read "Zombies."